One of our viewers suggested we take a look at the Ergon TP1 cleat installation system. We're going to demonstrate using SPD cleats, but they also make ones for other Shimano, Look, and Speedplay, so buy the one accordingly. We'll demonstrate using the SPD, but it's essentially the same using the other systems. Let's see how well it works. What you'll need is your TP1 with the stickers, your shoes, pencil, your new cleats, a hex wrench, and some grease. Before we get started, we need to look at the position of our shoes. So move your feet up and down, relax, and take a look. We can see that my left foot is slightly pointed out, same with the right at different degrees. Go ahead and photograph that positioning because we'll need it later. Next, we're going to need to feel for the protuberance of the first metatarsal. That's the outcropping of this bony portion, which is the first metatarsal. We can feel it right here. We'll mark it with our pencil on the inner aspect, and we'll do the same for the other shoe. The pencil mark may be a little hard to see in the video, but it's right here. We're going to try to place a sticker with a point right over that mark. We'll try to make it as vertical as possible, right on that line, so that the point is at the bottom of the shoe. Now we'll take the back of the shoe. We see that the back, we want the center with the point right at the center, going down to the bottom of the shoe. For this demo, we're going to use a shoe that's already properly set up. We've made a small white mark with a little bit of acrylic paint, bisecting through the bolts and at the front. And then we're going to take the cleat off and see how well the system TP1 does in reinstalling the cleat in the correct position. So let's go ahead and remove the cleat. Now we'll return to our installation process. We've marked the shoe as mentioned. We have our new cleat. There is a beveled washer that the bevel points outward to receive the bolts. We'll use the first two bolt receptacles. We've greased our bolts, and we'll go ahead and proceed to install these. And we'll do it light enough so we can just move forward to the right or left as needed. The TP1 has a receptacle for the cleat. In this case it's Shimano SPD, and this represents the spindle of the pedal. We'll place the shoe. This is the left shoe, so go on the left side, and it's easiest if we turn this upside down to get that cleat in position so that we can move it forward or aft. At this point, we're using our photo, we see that this shoe is turned slightly outward. We'll try to mimic that. And we'll go ahead and use our pencil and mark the very point on our TP1. Next, we'll turn the TP1, and we would like the spindle a few millimeters behind the point of the metatarsal. Now most videos say right over, but recent evidence suggests that it should be a few millimeters behind. So we'll move it back, and this position should work. Now we've slid our TP1 over the edge. We have our points lined up. I want to make one other note. There's something called a Q factor that allows you to shift the shoe right or left. This is actually a misnomer. The Q factor is actually the distance from the outer portion of the crank to the on one side to the outer portion on the other side, really dictated by the manufacturer's bottom bracket. We can do very little moving it back and forth. We have some ideas in our description if you want to take a look at it. I move it right and left and then try to center it using these little marks on here. Let's go ahead and reset this shoe. Make sure all the markers are set. The cleat is centered, and we'll go ahead and tighten up the hex bolts. Let's go ahead and see how we made out with our markers. We can see that the cleat is just a little bit forward of these markers, is almost perfectly lined up. You can't quite see it in the video with the center, and probably this will work very well. Go ahead and tighten the bolts so they don't move around, and then we'll give it a try and come back, and if they work we'll torque them to about 5.5 to 6 Newton meters. Of interest, the cleats are actually now more comfortable after a test ride than I had previously put them on. In the next section we'll show you how to make some minor adjustments should you feel those are necessary. Minor adjustments or fine-tuning on the cleats are made in the following way. If you begin to feel undue pressure on the toes or pain in the calf region, move the cleat just a few millimeters back. If you find that you're getting pain in the sole of the foot, move the cleat just a few millimeters forward. If you note that your toes pointed too far in, turn the cleat slightly towards the big toe. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but we are working upside down. If you find that your toe is pointed too far out, turn the cleat just a little bit towards the small toe and then tighten. Remember to make all adjustments just a little at a time. Tighten the cleat firmly and give it another test ride until you get it exactly where it's comfortable. At that point you can tighten the bolts and torque to about 5.5 Newton meters. Don't forget to torque the bolts to about 5.5 Newton meters to make sure they're on firmly. If you have used this type of system or have questions about it or comments, please comment below. Also, please subscribe to keep up with our latest videos. This is Tony of Tony 10 Speed. Safe cycling.